talk about multiple offers because I think this is happening in everyone's market across the country. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, you guys. Like, I feel like every house is under a multiple offer situation here in Northeast Florida. And unless the house like really sucks and is really overpriced, like every house is going to a multiple offer situation. It's crazy.
Yeah, most. And like here in DFW, it depends, like different parts of the Metroplex are more hot than others. And then also like price points, like anything under 200, 250 is, no matter where it's at, it's flying off the market. But you know, there's like that sweet spot. Like I have a $400,000 listing that's been on the market for a few weeks now, 3 weeks actually. And so, you know, like that's common. I have to like remind them, like, just because you hear like your aunt's house like flew off the market with multiple offers, I'm like, remember, her house was $250,000. Yours is $425,000. It's okay. But I think for the most part, yeah, we're experiencing multiple offers. And I think whether we tackle this on the buying or the like representing the seller, so the buyer sell side, I think it's applicable across the board. Don't you think?
Yeah, I really wanted to share a recent experience. And then since I'm actually mostly on the listing side of things, I wanted to share also like what I like to hear.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that most of my listings I experience multiple offers, but a lot of my buyers, I've been getting a lot of social media and referral buyers, and they've all been like first time buyers, like in that multiple offer situation. And we're winning right off the bat. We're not having to put in 2 or 3 offers on different properties. We're getting it the first time around because experience, right? So let's go through some of the terms that, you know, sellers are looking for or agents that are looking for with offers.
Well, I want to say first that I feel like giving that agent a call first and getting more information from the listing agent is so beneficial. Like, it irks me when someone just sends me an offer and they're like, confirm receipt. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then they get all pissed off when I don't pick their offer. And I'm just like, hey, buddy, like, you didn't try your best. And it's been really helpful for me being on the buying side of things to find out like what's important to the seller. Like, is time important or is money important? Where are they headed? And then educating them on my buyer. What is their financing situation? Are they with my preferred buyer? But I just giving them that call, like, hey, I've got somebody interested. I'm running numbers. Do you have any other offers? Introduce yourself. I think that can really go a long way. And then also giving them a call again before you send the offer. Hey, I'm about to send it over to you. Please confirm receipts. And then I break down everything again. I might have discussed things with them on the phone at that point. Like, I'm about to send it. And I'll kind of lay out some of the terms. And then I will write it out again in that initial email to them.
Yeah, I like doing that as well. And it is like that sweet spot price range. Like yesterday, I went out and showed my client. Before we even went out, I picked up the phone and called the agent. And I said, hey, saw this home was back on the market. I saw in the property description, financing fell through for the buyers. Are you working any offers right now? No. Okay, great. So my showing is here in a couple of hours. Do you plan to make a decision before my 5 o'clock showing? No. Okay, great. Next question. What's the seller looking for in the offer terms? So that way, if I'm there at the property, I'm showing my client falls in love, and she's like, okay, love this house. I'm like, are you ready to write an offer? I already know what the seller's looking for. Let's structure the offer exactly what they're wanting so that we don't find ourselves in a multiple offer situation. So I agree. Either before you go to the showing, if it's that sweet spot price range, and before putting in the offer, just to like feel out the agent, their client, you know, that goes a long way. It just shows that you're, you know, not a lazy agent. You're willing to.
And I'm sure that if you're out of that property, we've all had buyers where they're like, well, what do you think? We could lowball them a little bit. You think we could ask them for closing costs or that home warranty? And I think it would actually really help you represent your buyer and be like, I've already talked to the listing agent and these are the terms that they want. I am like constantly planting the seed from the time that we're in that buyer consult while we're looking at properties and educating them on our real estate market and what to really expect with multiple offers, that 15% of homes are selling over list price. I always mention, like, I wasn't able to get closing costs for myself in a multiple offer situation. Like, it's just not realistic right now. Like, yes, I'm going to do everything that I can, and it is case by case, but I want to plant this seed so that they don't have that expectation. And then if I am able to get them closing costs, oh my gosh, well then now I'm the hero. Yeah. Whereas like so many people, like sometimes like they'll bring a lender and they're like, oh, tell the realtor to get your closing costs covered. And I'm like, oh no, he didn't. Yeah, so now I'm in the seed that I can do that when it's not realistic in this market. It makes me look like the bad guy, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I always advise my clients to use my lender specifically because, yes, my lender isn't going to throw me the bus like that. Like, they want me to look like the hero, right? So they're not going to say anything like that. So no, I definitely agree with that. And too, like, I always ask my clients, like, if they're like, do you think I can get it for less than list price? Do you think I have to offer list price? The question that I ask is, at what price would you lose sleep over not getting this home? That's the number one question. And they're like, and I say, like, okay, let's just play this out. Let's say we put in an offer for $1,000 less and a buyer came through tonight, put in a full price offer, and the seller went with their offer. Are you going to be upset that you didn't offer $1,000 more for this home? And if they say yes, then you know that that's, they're pretty serious about this property. So I always ask that question. And to piggyback off of what you're saying, as soon as I submit the offer, I'm having the lender reach out to the listing agent.
Yes.
With a personal phone call.
Honestly, that's even better for me because I'm usually out and about doing something and I'm like, I'm trying to win this offer. And when you have the lender call the listing agent, I love this too on the listing side. If this person calls me and introduce themselves and I can ask them, like, they got good credit, you've looked at their income, you saw their job verification, like these people are solid, right? It just makes me feel a little bit better. And then I can go to my seller and be like, the lender had called me and, made an introduction, and I feel it helps us feel good about it.
Yeah. And then you can ask too, like, okay, did you verbally verify funds and bank accounts and tax returns, or did you actually receive those documents in writing? Did you actually put your eyes on those documents? Those are questions that I'm asking the lender as multiple offers are coming in, or, the lenders are calling me.
And lenders
don't make that conversation easy.
Lenders don't mind doing that. I'll be like, hey, Ed, I need you to call XYZ right now. That's another way for him to like get a new client. Like, he could end up doing such a great job. He gets to make, this is an easy introduction for him. I'm asking him to call and he does not mind. He's like, yeah, Stevie, I'm calling right now. And he's like, they're good. It's just like another, affirmation that like this person is solid. And I love it as a listing agent when a lender calls me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. One of the things too, on the listing side, when I have listings go into the MLS, so we have a transaction desk, if you guys have that, or you can upload documents, right? Like, you can put the seller's disclosure, lead-based paint addendum, HOA docs, anything like that. On every single listing that I have, a document goes on to the transaction desk, and it is like a guide to fill out an offer. And it says, here's what the seller's looking for in a good offer. So that if somebody calls and says, are you expecting multiple offers? Do you have any offers in hand? What's the seller looking for? Yes, I can verbally tell them this, but if they're like, oh, can you put this in an email? Go to the transaction desk and you'll see it there. I have it all bullet pointed out for you. I even have paragraphs next to each item to say, okay, option money, $50 per day. If you earnest money, 1%. And then I put all of page 9, which is like all the broker information. I have all of my stuff already laid out so that they can just literally highlight, copy, and paste into the contract. So I'm trying to make it as streamlined as possible. And if my clients need a lease back, if they need a specific close date, anything like that, title company, escrow agent, all of that's laid out. And pretty much every offer that comes through, like that document is a Word document and it only needs changed here and there. Like it only needs the seller's names changed, a specific close date, or anything that's specialty, you know, those items will get added in, but it's a big leverage item that you can put on there, and it keeps the negotiations to a minimum, right? Like think about a time when you've negotiated like back and forth 3-4 times. Both clients are emotionally detached now. They're like, I'm over this. I'm over it. I'm done, right? So I'm trying to keep those negotiations to a minimum and keep the emotions high and get the best possible offer for my clients.
I always add in the MLS and the documents the offer instructions. So then when I'm receiving the offer, like all my information and everything is already in, the title company, where I'm sending everything. And then like if they had not filled in all of my stuff, I'm like, you didn't even look in the documents tab and take the time to fill this in. So you probably didn't see the seller's disclosure, the HOA disclosure, the condo writer, like all those things that you're just like, okay, are you a sloppy realtor? And also presenting a clean contract where, you know, we all make mistakes, you know, like that happens. But sometimes I've gotten offers where I'm like, this is their first deal, you know, and it's just like, just have somebody look at it before you send it. It's fine if you're brand new, but this is a huge legal binding document, and just have your broker or another realtor look it over for you and not present a sloppy contract. And also, you know, no errors. And I think providing as much information as possible about that buyer. Like, is there a contingency with their home that needs to sell? I feel like that's a huge one, and that's like such a risk for a listing agent to accept right now. But if you call them and make them feel good about it, and you're like, I'm going to give you a copy of that purchase and sale agreement on their current home so that you can read all the terms, I'm going to ask for it anyways. But if you go ahead and present that ahead of time, I feel like that shows confidence. Like, this deal is going to happen. It's going to go through, even though there is this contingency, and I can look up the property and see what it looks like, how many days on market, in case it falls through. Do you think it'll pick up another buyer? As much information as possible that you can provide, I feel is so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 other things that I have before going into like offer terms. I wanted to mention that outlining the email, I think you mentioned this, but I put together like a nice customer service email, and it's a template, y'all. So you can copy and paste it every time, but it says, we are so excited for the opportunity to purchase and own this home. Here are my clients' offer highlights. So I'm going to highlight the items that make our offer stand apart. So if it's over list price, I'm putting over list price in bold. If it's more than 1% earnest money, if we're giving a free lease back, like I'm bullet pointing these items out, because I always say the way that you communicate to another agent is usually the same way that they present that same information to their client. So I'm going to communicate it in such a positive way that they're going to turn around and use the same words to their client. Some agents I've heard of just like forward the items over to their client. So, hey, I have a beautiful laid out email, bullet pointed out of great terms, that if they're just forwarding it over, then awesome, works into our benefit then. Also, the second item is, if you guys are using your email address and you're just, you know, maybe tired of getting emails sent over to you, like of offers, it's like multiple offers, like it junks up your email, you don't know who to keep separate and all of those things, or if you have a transaction coordinator. So another thing that you could do is you can create another email address. So if you're amandanite@gmail.com, it might be offers.amandanite@gmail.com. And so put into the MLS that you want your offers submitted to that email address specifically, so that you can keep them all straight. Because the last thing that you want is, you know, 50 emails coming in on an offer or on a property, and then 49 of those emails aren't going to matter in another couple of days when your clients make a decision, right? So instead of that junking up your email, and the second thing to do on that is put a vacation. You know how you go on vacation, you can put like a vacation memo on the email. Put that up and put your offer has been received. So that as soon, people are always like, confirm receipt. Well, then it's an automatic email that they're getting back in return. So it's just a leverage way to, not have all the emails junking up your inbox, you not having to dig through your emails to see like, oh yeah, like somebody's texting you like, oh, did you get my email? And you're like, I don't know if I did or not. Hold on, let me go check through all these other 50 offers. So I just ask them, hey, did you get an auto reply back? They say yes, perfect. I got your email then. I got your client's offer. And so that might be a way for you to kind of keep the two separate.
I like it.
Yeah. So
questions while we're chit-chatting, feel free to add them in the chat.
Perfect. So I have a couple of ways to structure an offer, how I like to structure my client's offer, and then what I like to see on the listing side too. So I have a couple that are zero money out of pocket ways to make a great offer, and then some ways that will, have your clients, paying a little bit extra for items to make their offer more appealing. So a couple of those ways: super short option period with a high dollar amount. A client called me today and said, hey, we're picking yours because every option period was 7 days for $100 and yours was 5 days for $200. I'm like, yeah, that's how serious we are. We are ready to go. We have the inspector already lined up. We're ready to get the show on the road. Let's do this. So that's one of the ways, your clients are going to get that money back at closing. Same thing with the earnest money. So standard in our market is 1%. So if your client's offering $175,000, maybe you do like, $1,900 earnest money or $2,000, right? It's a little bit more money on the table for them. Short financing period, obviously talk with the lender on that. A lease back, complimentary lease back. And then also, this is something that I've been doing recently. If my client is offering, let's say it's listed at $175,000, my client's offering $180,000, I'm going to have the lender put together, if they're pre-approved to like $190,000, I'm going to have the lender put together that $190,000 pre-approval letter because my clients are already offering over anyways. So if they see that my clients are still even more qualified, they're going to be like, oh shoot, like this is well under their budget. They're solid buyers. So that might be a way. It's a free way. Now on the opposite side of that, don't show all the cards if you're offering like 173 and they're pre-approved to 190. Don't do that. But if you're offering more than list price and they're pre-approved for more, you can do that. And then also write a letter, right? Like write a personal letter, include a photo of the family or the first time buyer with her dog or whatever, write a really nice, sweet letter. Most of the time sellers want to read those letters and they'll make their decision based upon emotions.
Yeah, it can be emotional for sellers as well as it is for the buyer. Like this could have been their family home that they have been living in for 20 years. And I have had cases where, they might have had a quick cash offer, but that buyer wrote a sweet letter about their family and they wanted their family home to go to somebody that was going to take care of it.
Yeah,
so
like there's another family in it and like creating those more memories that they did the 15 years that they lived in the home, right? Yeah, definitely driving at that emotion.
So recently I had showed a property to a buyer and she was at work. So she never even saw it. I did a video. I met up with her mom and I had told her that I wanted her to write a letter, but she was at work. She didn't have time and I needed to get this in. So I wrote the letter and I wrote out this long detailed letter about her and just that how she worked really hard for this house. She just got her master's. She's now a CPA. This condo would be perfect for her. I mentioned that I helped her brother purchase in this neighborhood 3 years ago and I recently helped his friend a couple weeks ago and her parents live across the street. So she's very familiar. I made comments about Your sellers have taken such great care of the property. I'm sure the home inspection will be no issue. I said that Katie is pre-approved with my preferred mortgage lender. She is approved for much higher funding for her will be a breeze. And I mentioned I am on top of things and working together will be a great experience. And then I laid out the terms again. Like I was on the phone with her and I told her several things, but then I laid out all of the terms again in the email. So a couple of things that we use to negotiate is potentially waiving contingencies, higher earnest money deposit, like she mentioned. I really like seeing if someone's putting down like a high down payment to see that they have more cash. Also, even on this offer, I said I wrote in a 7-day home inspection contingency period versus the standard 10 days. So I was already communicating with my home inspector and I told her this on the phone. I was like, I got a guy that can go out there next Tuesday. And as long as you tell me we're good to go, I can lock this in. Like if I'm a listing agent and someone's telling me that they're already talking to a home inspector, I'm like, they're on the ball. They're not waiting for a response. Like they're already working on this. So I shortened the home inspection contingency period. And then I think Amanda mentioned the loan approval period. I call the lender, make sure that this person is good to go, that we can get it, the loan approved in X days. And I have them mention that when they call the listing agent, like, hey, we're good to go on this shorter approval period. Also, escalation clauses are really popular here. It's kind of up to the discretion of the seller whether or not they want to acknowledge it. They don't have to. It's up to them at the end of the day, right? But I feel like it is enticing to see. It can be confusing when you have like so many offers and like everyone's got an escalation clause and it's all very similar. And at the end of the day, you're like, I'm not really going to analyze that. We're going to analyze all these other terms, right? Like who has the strongest offer? But it's just something to mention because I still put in an escalation clause just to show how serious we are. I just feel like it's one of the things you got to check off in your offer is like, let's just turn that clause into them. But that's pretty much it. And so what is normal here is giving them 24 hours to respond. I turned in the offer at, I think like 1-ish. And I was like, I want a response by 7 or we're moving forward. So I feel like not coming to, this pit bull realtor, like I need to know, like it's not like that at all. It's like, I'm mentioning all these things. Like I would love the opportunity to work with you. I'm really great to work with. I've already scheduled the home inspector, but we do need to know by 7 o'clock tonight or we have to move forward. Like my buyer loves this property, but we don't want to get into a multiple offer situation and we'd rather just get the ball rolling. I'm ready to get to work on this. And then they're like, oh, and then I was like, my lender's about to call you and I'll have it over to you within the hour. I feel like that is, if you do all those things, who can say no to that?
Yeah.
Those are such great points. Like, don't half-ass it. I get so many offers from realtors and I never hear from them. I'll even tell them, hey, we didn't accept your offer in a multiple offer situation, and they don't even respond. And it's just like, gosh, what a disservice to that buyer, right?
Yeah, that's when you feel really bad for the client.
Well, I know none of y'all would do that.
Not on this call.
But it happens all the time.
Just a few other things that we can do here in Texas. The buyer can decide to pay for title policy. So it's normally a seller expense, but if you're wanting the property and you have just another $1,500, like that's another way because most buyers are not going to offer to pay title policy. Pay for the HOA transfer. If you guys have like HOA resale certificates, like they have a cost affiliated with that, so pay for that. Pay for the survey, that's another one. Let the seller keep the minerals if they own them. So like here in Texas, it's funny, it's such like a 1980s thing, but it's like, who gets the minerals? Who owns the mineral rights? Like, y'all, unless it's like acres, nobody's like, they're not drilling for oil and gas on the backyard of my house, right? Like, I don't care who owns the minerals. Nobody can go back there and drill anyway. So let the seller keep them. It doesn't cost your clients any money, and just let them know, like, chances are they're probably not receiving any sort of royalties for it. And then 2 things. So I wrote the offer last night for my client and she said, closing costs and home warranty. She said, can we ask the seller for closing costs? I said, we could. However, what's more important to you? Getting it under contract first, having the inspection, then renegotiating, or asking for closing costs up front? and then potentially missing out. She said, no, I want to lock up this property. So we didn't put any seller concessions in. And, I let her know, hey, this one was already under contract. They already did all the items that the previous buyer had requested in the inspection. They already know that it appraised. So they might not agree to, giving any more money, but, we can always try in the option period. Goal number one is to secure it. So that, and then same thing with the home warranty. Like, do you want a home warranty? Yes or no? Let them decide. Are you going to actually use it? If not, we'll allocate that $500 towards something else. Or we can always negotiate it in the inspection period. So, you don't let them know yes, this is the offer, but we can still potentially have a little bit more negotiating in the option period. So just know there's some room for that. If your main goal is to just secure it and make it yours, then, let's make it a really strong offer from the get-go, and then we'll worry about a couple of those other things. And if a home warranty ends up being super important for them and the seller just says absolutely not, I mean, come on. I don't know about you guys, but I've bought a home warranty or two in my career. So at the end of the day, if your client's so happy, they wanted multiple offers and everything,
I'll buy it, whatever.
Yeah. I want you to be happy. Now go write me a 5-star review on all these.
I'll do it, but you have to write me a 5-star review. Nothing's free, honey. No, but I think it does kind of suck right now being a buyer's agent. If that's most of your business, it's got to be really frustrating. Not only dealing with multiple offer situations, but maybe dealing with that client who's feeling frustrated. I hear of agents that are losing out, and part of the time might not be the realtor. The realtor might be doing their job educating that buyer, but it might be that buyer is just I just can't fathom giving them full price, or I still need closing costs. And it's got to be I feel like being a buyer's agent right now, it's really hard to come off as this amazing realtor in this market when things are just going so quickly. No one's getting a deal unless it's off market or something. And, having that conversation about hey, I can't, buyers that I'm talking to right now, I am totally setting the expectation. You need 3% closing costs. If I can somehow get it covered for you, I will, but and that just kind of makes me feel gosh, I really want to get them closing costs or get them under list price, but it's just so not realistic right now. And I tell them, I'm being a buyer right now in this market, it's really tough. And that's why a lot of people are doing new construction.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think how they're going to feel is going to be the story that you convey to them. So is it a challenging market? Yes, of course. But the table could be totally turned the opposite way. There could be zero inventory and then they don't have any options, right? Present it in a positive light and, just let them know I'm so excited at the opportunity that you have to purchase a home. You're getting an incredible interest rate. You're not paying your landlord's mortgage anymore. Yes, we may have to offer full price or maybe over full price, but think about all the great things that you're getting with this home or, with that home. I think there's a lot more positives than negatives. So don't let multiple offers and a fast-paced market scare you. And if you happen to lose out on your client's offer, call the agent up and say, hey, my client is so upset that they missed out. Can you tell me why our offer wasn't chosen? And just ask them. They're going to be oh, it was based on price, or this person could accommodate this, or it was cash. That might have your clients feeling a little bit better when you have to deliver the news that, hey, I'm so sorry your offer wasn't accepted. They actually chose a cash offer, which unfortunately is just something that we couldn't compete with. But the right home is always out there for you. And I always tell my clients, they lose out on a multiple offer situation and they had their heart set on a home, I always let them know, hey, when I get to the closing table, I've never once had a client that said, I'm so excited to buy this one, but I wish we would have got 123 Main Street.
It's never happened.
No.
They're always I'm so glad I didn't. It always works out how it's supposed to, and I always remind them of that. I'm trust me, I'm going to find you something else. Just take them out to lunch a couple times, and it'll be fine. I'm like, we lost out, but do you want to get lunch? It's my treat.
Aww.
No, I haven't helped like resale, like only maybe a handful of times this year. It's all new construction and listings. So,
The offer that my client won last night, it wasn't even supposed to be multiple offers. And it's listed with a flat fee broker. And so like the seller called me himself. I was like, who is this? And then I was like, oh, you're the seller. Okay,
no offense if anyone works for a flat fee brokerage.
Yeah, I mean, but so he called me and was like, I got another offer on the table. If you can match it, I'd like to take yours because yours was written 100% clean. Your option period was shorter, higher dollar amount, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, done. And I let him know, hey, offer's on the way. And so like we didn't have to like submit highest and best or anything like that, which worked out to our advantage. But who knows, if I would have wrote a crappy offer, like clerical errors and all of that, it might have been a different situation. So